Good morning, Arlington family and friends. Today is once again a very special day. It's actually a glorious day, a wonderful day, and I am especially excited because I have watched our guest travel on his journey for a very, very long time. I'm proud to know him, proud to call him a friend, proud to know how awesome he really and truly is, and not just on the surface, inside and out. And so it's truly absolutely wonderful to see the hand of God on his life, blessing him in such a beautiful and profound way. Now, as you should know by now, Access, which stands for the Arlington Christian School Speaker Series, is all about giving our scholars access to real life success stories. The program is built on the premise that you can be and do anything you put your mind to. But we also believe that you can be what you can see. Remember, that's what our speaker last month, Kathleen Bertrand, told us. You can be what you can see. This is what makes this program so exciting and so inspirational. How blessed we are at Arlington Christian School. So before we go any further, we want to pause for prayer, which will be given by none other than Master Dylan Brown.
Please bow your heads and close your eyes for a word of prayer. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us health and strength. Please bless anybody that's not doing good this morning. And thank you for letting us wake up this morning. Please, thank you for letting us be online to learn and follow in your footsteps. Thank you for letting us have this speakers here. Thank you for everything you're doing for us. Thank you for creating us. Thank you for dying on the cross for our sins. You didn't have to, but you did it anyway. Thank you for everything you've done to do for us. Please bless anybody that's not feeling well. Please bless everybody that's not doing well. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dylan. My name is Charm Husband. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of ACS, led by Dr. Leo Wheat, our principal, Dr. Kelvin Griffin, and the entire faculty, staff, administration, and family of Arlington Christian School, I would like to welcome you to Access, the Arlington Christian School Speaker Series. It has been amazing to hear each of the speakers that we have had so far, and we know that today will be no different. So we welcome each of you, and we really believe that this will be an enjoyable experience. Here to formally introduce us to our speaker is Lanaya Brown.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I know that we are waiting on Lanaya Brown, but I'm going to do it in her stead. My name is Jason Sylvain, and I am excited to introduce this morning's Access speaker, Mr. Hank Stewart. Mr. Stewart is from Jacksonville, Florida, and for more than 25 years, he's brought much light and inspiration to the world. He is an Emmy Award-winning poet, best-selling author, and poet laureate. His talent has afforded him many unique opportunities to include reciting his work for Rosa Parks, the mother of the Civil Rights Movement, and former First Lady Michelle Obama. He became the very first poet to perform on the main stage for the Essence Music Festival in 2003, after being commissioned by the Coca-Cola Company to write and perform a special piece. He has also had the honor of performing on the Trumpet Awards, which aired in more than 150 countries. He's written and performed commercials for the McDonald's Corporation and for WGA Atlanta, Black History spots, which resulted in him winning an Emmy, Promax, and Gabby Award, all in 2007. To his credit, Mr. Stewart has 5 books of poetry, 6 CDs, 2 novels, a DVD, and a coffee table book commemorating his 25 years as a poet. Wow, that's amazing. His latest work is a children's book entitled I Know Who I Am. His love for serving others resulted in him co-founding the Stewart Foundation with Glenn Mason, The foundation is a youth leadership organization developing a leader of tomorrow for justice and equality. Mr. Stewart has registered thousands of voters, subsequently helping to reshape local, state, and national elections. If you would like to know more about Mr. Stewart, please visit him online at www.hankstewart.net. But for now, please help me and welcome our very special access speaker. Come on, ACS, let's make some noise for from wherever you are, and let's give it up for the one, the only, the incomparable Mr. Hank Stewart.
Wow, wow. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Sir.
Hello?
Yes, we can,
Okay,
sir.
okay,
We can
okay.
absolutely
Let
hear
me just tell you, that introduction, bro, I got to take you with me everywhere. I'm going to have to take you, pack your bags,
Yes,
pack your
sir.
bags. Even if we're doing it virtually, you have to go with me everywhere. Look, first, let me thank Alona, a friend of mine, Ms. Jurg, for allowing me to be here. She and I go a long way back. Thank you for trusting me with these bright young minds. And so I'm excited about being here this morning. I got up early. I worked out, laid my clothes out on the bed. I couldn't wait to come and have access to these bright young scholars this morning. My name is Hank Stewart. I'm a poet, writer, and author. I've been writing poetry since 1991, November the 7th, 1991. Let me tell you what happened November the 7th, 1991. I was a manager for UPS, and I was working third shift. A lot of y'all know that. Some of your parents might work third shift. That's the midnight hour. That's from like 11 at night to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So I was working third shift. I came home that morning and wasn't ready to go to sleep. So I kind of pedaled around my house. I washed some dishes that was in the sink, put some clothes in the washer, took some clothes out of the dryer, folded them. I took a shower and I went to sleep. I woke up about 5 o'clock that evening, and I had to start preparing to get ready to go back to work. I had slept almost all day long. But while I was asleep, something really interesting was happening. Now, when I got up and I turned on the news was the news. Murder, carjacking, inflation, all the typical things you hear on the news right now. That was back in 1991, and you still hear those same things. The weather came on, and they were talking about floods and tornadoes in the Midwest. I'm a sports junkie. I love football, basketball, baseball, hockey, race car driving, tennis, golf. I mean, I love it all. Soccer. I love sports, and I love the competitiveness of sports. Well, on that day, Magic Johnson declared he was HIV positive. Now, a lot of you all are too young to know this, but back in 1991. That was a huge deal. That was big. I mean, for someone to be diagnosed with HIV, that was huge. And Magic Johnson, who was this major figure, athlete, winning championships, had been diagnosed with HIV. And so I had never written anything a day in my life, nothing that I thought was worth reading. And I was about 28 years old at that time. And I started doodling on a sheet of paper. And the very first poem that God ever blessed me was a piece that's called Can You Hear Me? And the poem was very simple. It said, Lord, there's times when nothing is going right. Lord, there's times I can't find anything good to talk about. Lord, there's times when I cry, I wonder, do you hear me? Lord, there's times I've fallen. And I wonder, did you see me? Can you hear me, Lord? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just give me a sign. And very softly, he spoke to my heart. He told me about Calvary, and this is what he said. He said, Hank, do you know they slapped me across my face because I heard your cry? They pierced me in my side because I heard your cry. They spit on me because I heard your cry, and I died on a Friday because I heard your cry, but I rose on a Sunday because I heard your cry. Now, my child, you have it all simply because I heard your cry. That was the very first poem I ever wrote in my entire life. And similar to the young man who did the prayer this morning, it was a prayer. It was a plead. It was asking God to hear me and hear the state that we were in. And I started writing every single day after that. Y'all know what happened on that day? Let me tell you what happened on that day. That was the day that I discovered my purpose. Miles Monroe once said, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy in life is be given life and not know why you're living. Let me say that again. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy in life is to be given life and not know why you're living. It is a sad state to wake up and recognize that you have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 4 weeks in a month, 12 months in a year. Multiply that time, the number of years you've been living on this earth, and you don't know why you're here. That day I discovered why God put me on this earth. Mark Twain said the two greatest days in your life is the day that you were born and the day that you were born again. Well, I'm going to modify that a little bit. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. I think there's 3 great days in your life. The day that you were born, the day that you were born again, and the day that you realize why you were born again. Let me say that again. There's 3 great days in your life. The day that you were born, the day that you were born again, and the day that you realize why you were born again. Once you realize why you were put on this earth, why God put you here, you're not an accident. You are not a haphazard situation. When you recognize why God put you on this earth, man, your whole life changes. Do y'all know at that point on November the 7th, 1991, when I started writing, my whole life changed? Let me tell you something that happened to me after November the 7th, 1991. I stopped using an alarm clock to wake me up. Now my purpose wakes me up every single day. Now the alarm clock, I might set it, but it might remind me to get up. But my purpose wakes me up every single day. And that's happened for every single day since 1991. November the 7th in 2021 will be my 30th year, 30 years of writing poetry. And I love it. And I've written even more. I think the young man who introduced me said I have 5 books of poetry, 6 CDs, 2 novels, a coffee table book, children's book. And I've got more books coming. I've already written another book for next year, which is going to be my 30th year as a poet. I have so many. I got 2 other children's books that's already written. We're working on the illustration. Every single day I get up and I work towards my passion. I've had the unique opportunity to do some amazing things. And you heard me talk, when in the introduction, I'm talking about I spoke for the First Lady. Let me tell you a little something that happened. I want you to hear me on this because this is real serious. I got a call back in 2014 to perform for the First Lady of the United States at that time, and it was Michelle Obama. And a friend of mine called me. He worked in Congressman Hank Johnson's office, who's the congressional leader in the 4th Congressional District. And he called me and he said, Mr. Stewart, we have every year there's a luncheon that's held by the First Lady, and it's happened for 102 years. The Democrats put it on one year, the Republicans, they alternate. And this year the Democrats are putting on and they want you to perform for the First Lady. I was so excited. I was so excited. I was so excited. I couldn't wait. And he said, Mr. Stewart, we're going to pay you to perform for the First Lady. Now, I'm going to tell y'all a little secret. I would have did that gig for free. That was one I would have did for free. They said, Mr. Stewart, we're going to fly you to D.C. to perform. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I would have drove myself to D.C. on my own dime, paid for it myself. They said, Mr. Stewart, we're going to, when you get off the plane, there's going to be a guy holding a sign for you, and he's going to drive you to the hotel. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I would have taken an Uber or a Lyft over there myself to do that. I got to the hotel, and the guy, the chauffeur, got out of the hotel, got my bag, and he took it into the hotel, the Hilton on Watergate, and he rolled my bag up to the concierge. And when I got to the concierge and I said, my name is Hank Stewart, there's a room for me. They say, oh, Mr. Stewart, no problem. I said, do I need to give you my credit card, for instance? And they said, no, everything has been taken care of. Now, a lot of you all might not know, but every time you go to the hotel, a lot of times they ask you for a card to put on your file. So just in case if you order room service and food and all of that, it goes to your card. They said, well, no, everything is taken care of. Got to my room and there was this big old fruit basket there full of fruit and nuts and chips and all that. They said something for you to just nibble on while you're in the room. The car came back to pick me up and take me to sound check. Had an incredible time at the sound check. I came back to perform for the First Lady. I got a chance to meet her. She said, I love your poem. The poem that I did for her was a poem entitled It. And she says, I love the poem. And it was, I got a standing ovation. I was excited. But let me take you all the way back to when I first got the call on that Wednesday to perform for the First Lady. One important detail I left off, and I left it out intentionally because I wanted you to hear all of the things that happened. They said, Mr. Stewart, we want you to perform for the First Lady, but we have to vet you. We have to vet you. A lot of you all might not know what to be vetted means. To be vetted is a background check. They had to do a background check on me. How far do you think they went on this background check? Let me tell you, all the way to the 6th grade. They went back and looked at my history all the way to the 6th grade. And had there been something in my background, in my past, that was not worthy for me to be in front of the First Lady, I would have missed that opportunity. Why did I tell you all that story? A lot of you all are in the formative years of your life, and you got to make decisions about who you hang out with and who's your friends and what are y'all going to do and where you going to go and all that. And some of your friends are not going to influence you or try to influence you in the right direction. Some of your friends, instead of saying, let's go to the library, might say, let's go and steal something. Let's go and smoke something. Let's go and shoot something. Let's go and do something that is not of God and it's not of good conscience and good mindset. And had I done that back in my younger years, I would have missed the opportunity to perform for the very first African-American First Lady. They went all the way back to the 6th grade. I had no idea in the 6th grade, the 8th grade, the 10th grade, the 12th grade, going into college, what I would be and what I would have an opportunity to do. And had I messed that opportunity up, would not have had an opportunity to put that on my resume. And that was for me, a very important day. It was May the 1st, never forget it, May the 1st, 2014. And so I'm asking you and I'm challenging you all to make the right decisions. Hang out with people who has your best interest at heart. Let me tell you why I tell you that. Because last year, or earlier this year, and last year I did it twice, I had the opportunity to speak in youth detentions all around the state of Georgia. It's 25 youth detention centers in the state of Georgia. I drove from Savannah to Claxton, Eastman, Caldwell, down to Macon, up to Rome, Dalton, Gainesville, Marietta. It was 2 facilities in Augusta, Wilkes, Millersville, Rockdale, DeKalb, Metro, Stonewall, Hampton, Columbus, Terrell, Sumter, Chris, Thomasville, Indian, and Waycross. I did it twice in less than a year. I spoke in every youth detention center in the state. Why did I tell you that? Because I met a lot of young people in those youth detention centers who had gotten in the car with people. They didn't know the car was stolen. They didn't know it was a gun in the car. They didn't know it was drugs in the car. When the car got stopped, everybody went to jail. I saw 3.5 GPAs in there. I saw young men who had full scholarships in there who lost their scholarships. I saw great students in there because they had gotten in the car with people who were going nowhere and it changed their whole lives. Don't let anybody mess your life up. That is your life. And I've had the opportunity to do so many things not because I was perfect. No, let me clear that up, because I was nowhere near perfect. Thanks to the grace of God, I had an opportunity to do it and to write poetry and to meet some amazing people. You can see on my back a picture with me and Dr. C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis and Miss Rosa Parks and so many powerful, Dr. Joseph Lowry, Ms. Zanona Clayton, so many powerful African Americans and just people. Harry Belafonte, Cicely Tyson. I had an opportunity to perform for Dr. King's daughter when she passed, Yolanda King. So many unique opportunities because I found my purpose. And all of a sudden, I started to change the crowd that I was in. There's a quote that says, if you can't change the crowd that you're in, then change the crowd that you're in. Let me say that again. If you can't change the crowd that you're in, then change the crowd that you're in. Meaning, if you're in a crowd that's not doing the right thing and they're not listening to you, they don't hear you, then you need to find you a different crowd. And I'm also going to challenge you to, if you're the smartest person in your crowd, if you're the person that is always giving the advice. No, I'm gonna challenge you to stay in that crowd, but find you another crowd that's smarter than you, that you can grow. I love being around. I used to love going to Dr. Lowry's house and Dr. C.T. Vivian's house and sitting down talking, and they were much smarter than I will ever be. But I grew. I was always growing when I was around people who were smarter than me. I'm 57 years old. And I still have mentors, Tommy Dorch and Miss Janice Mathis and Helen Butler. I got people who I call, and Reverend Tim McDonald and Dr. Gerald Durley, and I got people that I call when I have questions. You're never too old to have a mentor, and you're never too old to be a mentor. So always think about giving back and help somebody. Some of you all in the 10th grade and 8th grade and 6th grade, and there are people younger than you looking up to you. If you're in the 10th grade, there's an 8th grader looking up to you. If you're in the 6th grade, there's a 4th grader looking up to you. If you're in the 3rd grade, there's a 1st grader looking up to you. If you're in the 1st grade, there's a kindergartner looking up to you. There's always somebody looking and inspiring to be like you, and how you live your life is going to influence them. So always put yourself in the right position to be a good influence to somebody else. I'm going to say this: be consistent. Be consistent. There's a quote that says, I would much rather be more consistent than inconsistent. Let me tell you why I say that. Because when you're consistent, you can build upon consistency. Every day for the last almost 4 years, at the end of this month, it'll be 4 straight years, I work out every single day. Before I got up to come in here and get dressed and take a shower to get ready to come and talk to you, I worked out. I was on my elliptical for 35 minutes. I burned almost 900 calories in 35 minutes. I've worked out every single day for almost 4 years. Because I'm concerned about my health. I want to be as healthy as I can possibly. Because you all are leaders, and good leaders have to be healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so you work out every single day. And during my workout, I have an opportunity to meditate, and I have an opportunity to listen to good music. What you hear and what you listen to will influence you. So I'm sitting up here right now, and you know what I'm listening to? I'm listening to my CC Winans and BB Winans and the Winans family, telling me, because for me, that music puts me in a good frame of mind. It puts me in a celebration. It puts me in inspiration. I have inspirational music. I'm listening to inspirational books, and I listen to Dr. King's speeches, and I can't tell you any ratchet music, as they call it, because I don't listen to it. I don't know the artist, because that's not who I listen to. What I listen to determines who I want to be. And so I'm constantly trying to grow. And it influenced my work, my poetry, and my speaking. So I don't know I think I went over my time. I think I was supposed to have about 10, 15 minutes. And I can open it up if you have any questions for me to field some questions. Ms. Alona, I'm not sure if I went over, but I just wanted to stop right there.
You're doing good on time, Hank. Thank you so much. You are such an inspiration, and I knew that we would be in for a treat. You shared so much. I'm watching our chat, and I think we may have a couple of questions.
Okay.
That we may want to filter out to you. At least I can start off until the others come in. You shared so much. Who would you say were some of your role models coming up? I know you were born and raised in Florida. Who were your role models? And another question, what drew you to Atlanta? I know you talked about finding your purpose. Tell us about your journey to from Florida to Atlanta. What kind of people did you see coming up? What kind of influences did you have?
They're great questions. Okay, so one question would be, the first question would be, who are my role models? I had in my family, I have great role models. My grandfather, my uncle, my father, my brother, my mom, my aunties. I mean, I had some great role models in my family. And it was just, for me, it was my family really made me. Growing up, I was teased a lot about being extremely dark. And I was teased, constantly teased, but it was my family who got me through those dark periods to the point right now where I mean, I wouldn't trade this dark skin in for anything. It was my family. It was my sister who used to say to me, look at my handsome little brother coming up here, or my cousin. This is my favorite little handsome cousin. And you know, and they made me feel like I was important when the world was trying to tear me down. They were building me back up. So family is very important to me. And I saw great role models in my family. The second question, which was a great question, what got me to Atlanta? And my youngest brother came to Atlanta to go to school. And I remember when my mom and my oldest brother and I, we drove him up and we got to Atlanta. And I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Now, Jacksonville, Florida is one of the largest cities. It's the largest city in the country, land-wise, Duval County. But it's not a very metropolitan type city. It's a 2-tier, 3-tier type city. Not a whole lot to do. And so when I came to Atlanta and drove, and we had driven my brother down to his class and to his dorm, and he was registering and get set in. My oldest brother and I, we decided we were going to take a little trip around the city to look at the city. And I saw all these beautiful Black people in suits and driving BMWs and Mercedes, and they were not, you know, athletes or the Undertaker, or they were not they were business people. And I saw all of that, and I said, I'm coming back to Atlanta. So Alona, I was working I had a little job, and I was going to a junior college in Jacksonville. And I said, you know what? I'm getting back to Atlanta. I just bought me this little Volkswagen Bug. It was a 1972 Volkswagen Bug. And if y'all know anything about a Volkswagen, but some of y'all probably don't even remember it and have never seen one, but it was a classic car, and it was a very small car. And the engine was in the trunk, and the hood was the front of the car. And so it was a very small car. I worked at this place called Pick and Save, and it was similar to a Walmart, and I buffed the floors. I was cleaning the floors. And I saved every dime I had. I paid the car off and saved all my money. And I said, I'm coming back to Atlanta. And I was going to transfer to come to school up here. A friend of mine was living here, and I asked her and her roommate, can I share a room? I'll pay rent. And I drove, and everything I had fit in a Volkswagen Bug. And I drove from Jacksonville, Florida. In the I remember knocking on my mom's door saying, I'm getting ready to leave. And it was 5 o'clock in the morning. And I drove all the way from Jacksonville to Atlanta in a Volkswagen Bug. Now, when I look back at it, probably wasn't very smart, because that Volkswagen was not a very sturdy car, but I was determined. I wanted to get here. I wanted to make something of myself. And I came to Atlanta, and for me, it has been nonstop. It's been the best move of my entire life. I love Atlanta. Went to Massey Business College. Was a manager at UPS, and I have not looked back since that day.
What a journey. What a beautiful journey. We have one more question, and then before we close, I'd like if you would give us a poem. But the next question is, you have met so many people on your journey, some incredible people. Who would you say is the most unforgettable person, and why?
Now that's a hard question. Oh my God. Man, I mean, how do you go from Rosa Parks to Michelle Obama to Harry Belafonte to, Sidney Poitier to Cicely Tyson to Dr. Joseph Lara to Cameron Madison Alexander to Miss Zenona Clayton? I mean, I can't do it. All of them have had. I was telling a friend of mine yesterday, when you look at Hank Stewart, out of 100% of me, probably only about 3% of me, 97% is God and all the people that influenced my life. So it's been some amazing people that I've had an opportunity to sit at the house. I can't do it. I can't, my family, my mom, I can't even begin to try and choose one person as the most, because they have all had an impact in my life. I can't even begin to do that. The poem I'll close with is a piece that I just wrote. And it's probably one of my favorite new pieces. And it's a piece that I think you'll enjoy, and it's called I Accept. What are you giving me? What are you putting in my hand? What you've given me has just altered, it has changed my plans. Why are you looking at me like that? There's this look in your eyes. Am I even qualified to accept this? Will there be a ceremony? Do I need cap and gown? Need I be baptized? I know you're tired. I know you deserve rest. How can I say no with all that you've poured into me? All that you've invested? Okay, I'll take it. I'll take the baton. I'll carry the torch. You've earned the right to relax, the right to sit on the porch. I accept the baton and all the responsibilities that it holds. I accept the challenge to stand tall and bold, to fight for justice, to stay on the wall. I'll do what needs to be done. Yes, I accept the call. And integrity will stand with me even if we have to stand alone, to speak truth no matter who's wrong. You fought the good fight. You completed your assignment. Pass me the baton. Our souls are in alignment. I'll sacrifice my body just like you. I'll stand or kneel against racism, sexism, discrimination, regardless of the hue. I'll get up early and I'll stay up late. And when it's my time to be tested, just like you, I won't take the bait. I accept the baton because it's my turn. I accept for our ancestors were rape beating those who were burned. I accept because before midnight, December the 31st, 1862, our ancestors they were praying to God on their knees. I accept for all of our ancestors who were hung from those trees. I accept because dogs and water holes didn't turn you around. I accept because our ancestors spoke up and spoke out, even when they didn't know the language. They didn't know a person, place, or a thing was a noun. I accept because at the bottom of that bridge you were beaten and left for dead. Broken bones, tear gas, blood dripping down your head. I accept because you sat when you had tired feet. I accept because the only way you could walk into that hotel was through the back door, and it was only to wash dishes, cook on the bed, change the sheets. I accept because America was built on the land that our ancestors tore. I stand because our ancestors' blood fertilized these soils. So if it rains, I stand. If it's hot, no fan. I stand with the weight on my shoulders, but the foundation that I stand on makes me bolder. I stand for those that didn't get a chance. I stand for those who died because a white woman said at me he took a glance. I stand for those that look like me and may have forgotten. Although our ancestors were side by side in the fields picking cotton. I stand for singers. I stand for children. I fight for one. I advocate for millions. I stand for those ancestors whose dreams of freedom they would hold fast. I stand for so many of our ancestors who died for this country and the flag was never flown for them at half mast. I stand for those living under bridges and sleeping on makeshift pallets. I stand for our ancestors who knew our voices in the census, it was in our vote. It was in the booth, it was on the ballot. So yea, though I walk through the valleys and the shadows of death, it's about others now, no longer about self. Give me the baton, I carry with pride. I won't let the torch burn out, the baton hit the ground even when I'm tired. You trained me. Now I'm one of your lieutenants. I take the baton from my ancestors, so one time I can pass it to our descendants. I accept. Access do you. The piece is titled, I Accept.
Mr. Hank Stewart, how you doing, sir?
What's up, young man? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you once again, man. You know, you can't get rid of me, can you?
No, ain't trying to. Not trying
Yeah,
to. Not trying
absolutely.
to. Growing with you. Can't get rid of you. Growing with you.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for talking to our scholars today, man. I tell you, your presence today is so rich. And you said so much that, you know, I wished I had some time to unpack this thing. But, you know, time is not on our side today. But I'm not the center of attention here. You are. And we're just so appreciative of you being here today. You know, one of my favorite preachers out of California, Chad Veach, I listen to his podcast every now and then. He said something so profound when I was listening to one of his podcasts. He said, people admire your strengths, but they relate to your weaknesses. We appreciate your realism today. We appreciate you putting the information where the goats can get it. Like I said, man, I just wished I had more time to really unpack a lot of things that you said. But people, when they see someone who is as accomplished as you are, Um, and we want to be like you, and we want to imitate you. And, you know, individuals like yourself seems to be so far out of reach, right? But then when you talk about your humble beginnings, you know, from buffing the floors in a Walmart look-alike store to walking the floors in the White House, that's significant. See, people see the glory, right?
Mm-hmm.
They see Hank Stewart, they see the level of success, right? But they don't know where you come from, man. Thank you so much for sharing your humble beginnings in Florida and some of the emotional and social issues that you had to overcome as an individual. I think our kids got more out of that than anything else that they've heard from you today. Thank you so much for sharing that because it makes you attainable, right? It makes you reachable. And, you know, so many people like to put themselves on a pedestal and not share their failures. But man, it's so enriching when we can know that, you know what, life is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And things have not been perfect for that individual, but through prayer and perseverance, Mr. Hank Stewart is who he is. Man, thank you. This is
Oh
powerful.
no, this was my pleasure. I thank you all for trusting me. You know, you can't. One of the things that I love about you all is that you're not putting just anybody in front. I heard the name Kathleen Burcham. It doesn't get any better than that. You're not just putting anybody. You're going out finding. You know, I'm glad I finally made the list. But you're
Yeah.
going out finding the best to put in front of your young people because you understand the influence and all that. And they, some of them are struggling with something right now. And I promise you, what you're struggling with, what you think you're struggling with, will end up being will be your, you know, it's going to end up being your biggest reward. I mean, right now you couldn't buy this chocolate skin from me. You couldn't buy it from me. I mean, it was the thing that I thought was my biggest negative. Now it's my attention getter. When I walk into a room, bro, you know, when I walk into a room, I ask the young people, what do you remember more? And they, you know, they go, you can't help but remember this chocolate skin.
Yes.
It's my attention getter. And I so thank God for giving it to me. So each and every one of your young people has an attention getter. They got to find out what is that thing that's going to separate you from everybody else.
Yes.
From everybody else. And then not only that, use it for the glory of God. If you're not using it for God, then it's useless.
Yes.
Right? If you're not using it for God, it's useless. So find out what that thing is that God gave for you, and use everything. So I try when I come in front of the kids, I'm trying to suit up. I'm trying to give them all. When I walk, let me tell you something now, and I'll close with this. When I walked into the youth detention center, every single time, I never went in there with baggy pants on. I never went in there sagging or a jersey on, and I did it intentionally. Because I know they see that enough, right? And when I would leave out, I would say, what are y'all gonna remember the most about me? You know, they remember the suit that I had on, the watch that I wore, the white shirt, the shoes, the subject and verbs agreeing, the subject matter, you know, that I could remember. They remember so much more than sagging, right? So be all that you can be. Don't let anybody minimize you. That you know, and cut you down. And so we could go on and on and on. I would love to come back and talk a little bit more. Maybe we can have a round table, do some more poetry or whatever. There's a whole lot of pieces out there that I would love to share with the young people. But again, I thank you for trusting me with that. And young people, y'all need to really hear. I'm speaking to you right now. I'm not speaking to you. Y'all need to really thank your leadership, because your leadership is pulling for you. They're not pulling against you, they're pulling for you. When they give you an extra assignment, they're trying to make you better, because you ain't just competing against the student, another school in Decatur or in another school in Atlanta or in a school in the Southeast. You're not just competing against somebody in the East, on the East Coast and just in the United States. You're competing against the world right now. And they're trying to make you world ready, not Atlanta ready, not Decatur ready. That's right. They're trying to get you world ready. And world ready, you know, if I had an opportunity to go back to school now, when my teacher gave me the even number problems in math, I would have did the odd and the even. Because you got to compete now. So again, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, Alona, and bruh, you know, it's good to see you. Always good to see you. Always good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Pastor Jones, man, works extremely hard on this program. We call it Access, and thank you for just taking this opportunity to speak with our students, man, our scholars, and everything. So we do take people we put before our kids very, very seriously, especially our young Black men, and perhaps one of these days we can have you back for a forum with our young African American Black males. But you know, research says that, you know, men, except a large percent of men read one book in their lifetime. Mr. Stewart. Large percent of men read one book. You know, it's even more dismal for African American men. And here you are, a Black man who does poetry. I have an African American son. And it is so important for our young Black men to see a man like you who loves reading, who loves writing, who loves poetry, and who is articulate. Thank you, sir, for being that model.
Thank you. I have a son who reads too, and I got a house in my bedroom. I got a book of wall. My wall is made of books. You know, read everything. You know, read the Bible. My favorite books are the Bible. I got another book by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough called "What Makes the Great Great." You know, that's a great book. It's a great, because it talks about the failures. You know, Bernice King. Hard questions, hard answers. I mean, there's some really good, you know, I'm going through President Obama's book right now. There's some great books out there. Read as much as you can. It gives you access to the world. You know what I mean? It gives you access to the world. There's things and places people you'll never meet, right? But you can read about them.
Absolutely.
You can learn on them. Absolutely. You know, some of y'all have never met Dr. Lowry, but there's books out there on him. Some of y'all never met, you know, Ms. Rita Samuels, but there's gonna be, you can pull a bio. Some of y'all have never read on Dr. Cameron Madison Alexander and Dr. C.T. Vivian and Reverend James Orange. There's some phenomenal people, but you can go out there and do the research on them. You gave me a name. What's the name of the guy?
Chad Veach. Chad, C-H-A-D, Veach, V-E-A-C-H. He's out of California. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, he's a leadership guru. He has a book out right now that's entitled "Help, I Work with People." Awesome guy, man. Awesome guy. Like you.
So I think that, you know, here's a key, young people. When people give you something, give you a name, drop a nugget, write it down, and go and do the research. That's how you get smarter. That's how you get brighter. Do the research on it. You know, so immediately when you said that name, so now I'm sitting at my desk, I got work to do. So you know what I'm gonna do? On this laptop over here, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna be listening while I'm doing my work. So, you know, when I'm gonna say, or if it gets too good to me, I'm gonna turn it off and then I'll work out to it in the morning, because that'll help me get through my workout. You understand? You find ways to get as much as it. Let me tell you something. Time, there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Right. And I'll close on this. There's a quote that said, I mean, there was a book that I read, an article that I read not too long ago, says the average person gets 30,000 days in a lifetime. 30,000 days in a lifetime. Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay. But then Pastor, I got let me do some math on this. So I divided 365 into the 30,000 to get an idea how many years it was. And roughly it was 82 years. Now I should have left it alone at that point. Right. Then I said, let me do some more math. So I multiplied, I'm 57 years of age. I multiplied 57 times 365 to get an idea how many days I've used. Now it's getting real scary. I've used over 20,000 days in my life, 20,000 some change. Wow. I should have left it alone. Then I subtracted the 20,000 and some change from the 30,000 that I could possibly have, right? And it left me 9,000 and some change. Now it's really scary to me. Wow. Still doing the math. I divided 365 into the 9,000 and something change I have, and it says something like 25.7. I'm rounding up to 26 days I could have. Then I realized, I said, okay, well, I work out every single day. Dr. Lowry made it to 98. Dr. Vivian made it to 95. My mama right now is 92 years of age, hopefully be 93 in January. Yes. But then I realized my sister passed before she got to 60. My brother didn't make the 80. Kobe Bryant didn't barely got to the 40, and his daughter didn't get to the 13. Yeah. You don't know how most of us have more yesterdays than tomorrows, and most of the people that listen to me today have more tomorrows than yesterday. How are you going to use your days? Yes. Are you going to use your days to help people and leave this world better than when you got here? That's your challenge. So anyway, I'm sorry, I can keep on going, but I wanted to give you that.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, we thank you. We appreciate you. I'm going to turn you back over to Pastor Jones.
Okay.
Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. You be well today, all right?
You too. Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin. Thank you again, Hank. We cannot thank you enough. I do want you to know that we do have a token of appreciation. I'll get with Mo and get your address, but I'm so honored and humbled that you took the time to speak to us and to our scholars. And I see great things happening because the way you embrace us, especially our young men, it means so much to us at the Arlington family. So we are just proud as we can be, godly proud.
And your young ladies,
Okay.
we're in a time right now, sisters. I mean, that black girl magic is real.
Oh, yes,
It is real. And you look at the Kamalas, and you look at all of the sisters who are now getting ready to head the communications in the new Biden. Black women were the ones who took Biden over the top. You know what I mean? So sisters, y'all, I'm telling you, y'all are second to nobody. Sisters that are listening to me, hear me. Y'all are just as good, if not better, than any man, white man, black man, Asian man, Hispanic. Y'all are just as. Don't let anybody shortchange you, because you are just as good, if not better, than everybody. So I wanted to say that, because it's more than just our sisters. Y'all have been on point. Y'all have pushed us when we didn't want to move, propped us when we were falling, and held us up when we were about to fall in front. Y'all have been there. So I just don't want to leave. It's not just about the brothers. The sisters are just as, if not. So thank you, ladies, for allowing me to speak to you as well this morning.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We are so elated, and we'll get with Mo and send a token to you. We also want to thank our program participants. We are so proud of Dylan Brown and Charm Husband. Dylan, we call him our little preacher, and he prayed from the depths of his soul. Charm is quite a young lady. As her name she says, she's charming, and we thank Mr. Sylvain for stepping in to introduce you. We thank our principal, Dr. Kelvin Griffin, for always being supportive of our efforts. We thank our board of trustees, who really love the concept of access. They send their blessings under the leadership of Dr. Leo Wheat. We want to also thank our teachers. They worked with us to make sure we had scholars in place to be a part, and the parents. We can't do anything without the parents. And so we just thank God for the ability to come together and work together for the good of these kids. And we appreciate the support and the words of encouragement that you gave our leadership, because we really are working for the good of our scholars. They are our leaders of not just tomorrow, they're our leaders of today. And
can I just say, Jay, I did not know that was Jason. Jason is who introduced me. Jason say, is that very talented man, very talented. So, he looks a little different, not on stage just singing and doing all other stuff. So I almost didn't recognize who he was. And his sister and I are very good friends, but great young man. So you got cream of crop over there. Y'all in the high cotton over there.
Yes, we are. We count it a blessing every day. And we say this in our leadership meetings. We thank God for the work that he's given us to do with the kids, and we support each other. And it takes a village. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for your gift. I'm grateful for you sharing. And I know the best is yet to come. And I speak blessings over everything that God has placed on you, Hank. You've been on this journey. Like you said, I can't believe it's been 30 years. Where did the time go? But God bless you. We love you. We thank you so much. And we look forward to further collaborations with you. Merry Christmas also. We love you so much. All right. Take care. Until next time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.